everybody. Rabbi Starr here. Hope you are well. I'm speaking today about the Parsha, which is Parsha Re'eh. We're, in effect, right in the middle, or pretty close to the middle of the book of Deuteronomy, Sefer Devarim. And of course, literarily and historically, we know that, this is the fifth and final book of the five books of Moses, and the main plot line of this book, Israel wanting and preparing to enter into the land of Israel. A secondary plot line, of course, is Moshe is not going to be with them when they do enter the land of Israel, because he's been punished for that sin of striking the rock. And so as he in effect is giving a series of farewell addresses, a little bit like the famous first one in American history, President Washington giving a farewell address, this sense of taking leave of his community, of his public. So there's lots of interesting teachings in the entire book. There's important material in this parsha about slavery, and I think it's good to remember that slavery in the ancient world was something that usually happened, or the Bible mainly deals with it in the context of poverty, and having a sense of, well, the only thing I really own, the only thing I really possess of value is my labor. And therefore, if I'm really poor and I don't feel any sense of being able to get out of poverty, I'm going to sell myself into slavery so that I can stop being poor. I can be less poor. And we find that first in the book of Exodus, and then it's also found in Leviticus, but it's also found in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is regarded as a book that was a later teaching by modern scholars, and therefore we're sensitive to the ways in which it represents a kind of a progression of wisdom, of kind of a more sophisticated, enlightened approach to spirituality and to law and to practice. So, for example, here the Torah says, in effect, you can still use this practice. The owner has to, in effect, set aside money for you, so that when you emerge from your 6 years of bonded labor, you don't just fall right back into the position of being destitute again, and then in effect having to renew your bondage. And that does represent, it seems to me, an important reform in terms of the institution of selling oneself into slavery. So that's one thing to bear in mind. The second comment I want to share, I think, is a more intellectual one, but ultimately a spiritual and a moral one, which is that there are a lot of references in this parsha to truth. Moshe is very conscious, the sort of meta message of a lot of these farewell addresses that he's giving is that, well, I'm going to leave you. I'm not going to be your prophet and your teacher and your lawgiver forever. I'm going to die. Other people are going to lead you. What I am leaving you with, in effect, is my teachings, God's teachings. Therefore, study is going to ultimately become an important value, but at the very least, everything that is involved in study is really about knowledge, and it's really about truth. And so what strikes me in this parasha is how much time it spends telling us what study actually involves, and what learning involves, and what truth involves. So, for example, in Deuteronomy 13, we read, "You shall inquire and search and interrogate thoroughly, and behold, if it's true, the fact is established, etc., etc." 3 different verbs, a little bit like the Passover Seder. Deuteronomy 17, it says, "Then you shall make through inquiry, and behold, if it is true, the fact is established." Another verb, "V'hu gadlecha." And then finally in Deuteronomy 22, it says, "Ve'im emet haya hadavar hazeh, if it proves to be true. So it's sort of remarkable that the Torah, it seems to me, is telling us that truth is not just a thing. Truth is something that one does, meaning it's an activity, it's a process, it's a verb. You've got to search out truth. You've got to make truth. You've got to make things true. You do that by using your mind, by being rational, by asking questions. So I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and enjoy the Parsha. Thanks.